There are a couple of seconds of lag.
Yeah.
But so hello and welcome to another episode of the Outsider Circle podcast. I'm Leo.
And I'm Vin.
And I'm Spencer.
Yeah, for the first time ever on camera.
Yeah.
Our silent partner so far.
In the shadows.
Spencer.
Oh, let me fix you.
Oh, thank you.
That'll do. There we go. It's not a real podcast unless something is.
Right, exactly. At least we are being heard this time.
Yes,
right.
yes. I can see that we have audio.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I can see that we have video.
I see
and we're good. So
we brought the couch back for this one.
Yeah, because
it's a nice couch.
Right.
I did some extra repairs. It has been out of the picture because it was a little damaged when it got taken out of the picture.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
So I've put some screws into it, and hopefully that'll last until I need to put more screws into it.
Yeah.
That's all
Just
you need.
continue reinforcing your furniture
That's
until
all
you
you
can.
Yeah, fight for that right to repair, man. Call the congressman.
Couches are the same thing as iPhones.
Yeah,
Couches
exactly.
2020.
Anyway, so this evening we are here to talk about one of our particular favorite genres of video game. The classic Metroidvania,
Yes.
which for the underinformed is a portmanteau of the games Metroid and Castlevania. We have a lot of Metroid stuff here, but we have no Castlevania stuff because Leo doesn't have any taste.
Yeah.
Metroid is just by far the superior product, and the way Nintendo treats it is an example of that.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but I mean,
except for the other M.
People also really liked Star Fox, and look at how Nintendo treats Star Fox.
It wasn't respected. It didn't have the reverence like Metroid does.
Right.
Metroid has prestige. Well,
it's funny considering Ubisoft is making better Star Fox games than Nintendo is right now.
Right.
What are they making?
They put like Star Fox in like Starlink. It's like their Toys to Life game, but it's like a space game, but it's like significantly better than the last Star Fox games.
Is it actually Star Fox in that game?
Yeah, it's like
they got the license.
They got license?
The Star Fox, yeah. Him,
wow, because Nintendo really has given up on the problem. It's like, fuck you.
They were like, Ubisoft, you can do it. It's fine.
As opposed to with Metroid, where they don't give it to anybody.
No, it's their baby.
No. Well,
not after.
Was it Team Ninja that did that one? Was that other M?
Ninja Theory?
No,
Team Ninja.
Yeah, was that like the?
Yeah, that was
Ninja
it. They were like,
people.
I know, but it's like I love Ninja Gaiden. Like you can't.
Yeah.
No.
There are people who will defend it. I've seen other M gameplay is interesting.
Yeah,
it's not Metroid.
No.
But it's interesting.
No.
It's like
Federation Force almost.
Yeah,
it was just also not really Metroid.
Spencer, there's a mic is like in your face.
Hold on.
I don't know how do we. We might have to like scooch to the side a little bit. Yeah,
okay, there we go.
Catch your face.
There we go.
We didn't spend too much time figuring out the framing when we added a person, which we should have done.
Yeah,
that's fine. As long as my voice is coming out.
So let's get into what is Metroidvania. So Metroid, as you said before, Metroidvania is kind of a mixture of a Metroid and Castlevania gameplay. Metroid from the start was kind of the core essence of kind of what the genre is, which is exploration and power-up based gameplay, where the further you get in the game is based on what weapons and what power-ups you have, and those then weapons open up different paths that you that were just there for you before but weren't able to open up.
Right, a lot of backtracking.
Right.
Backtracking is a very important part of the Metroidvania thing,
and map building too. Like you don't get the
building.
Map from the start; you have to go through the map.
Yeah, and a lot of like natural levels like guiding you where you need to go based on what roadblocks are in your way.
Right, exactly. Like you literally cannot jump this high, so you're gonna have to go down, and then maybe you'll find something that will get you to jump that high and go back.
Right.
And that's like the core elements of the gameplay, really. And then I think Castlevania was a contemporary of Metroid fairly soon after Metroid came out, the original ones anyway. Right. But then that added a little bit more RPG elements to it too, pretty quickly. Like Metroid, I think up until the later games, there was no spending. There was no. Yeah. I don't think there's ever been.
There's never any.
None of it has ever. Maybe I don't know about. I didn't play other M's, so I very well could have had. Like you can buy new guns or something.
Other M was like literally your boss told you can unlock your weapons. You didn't even lose like one of the actually.
She doesn't lose the. That's another motif.
Yeah. One of the infamous tropes from the Metroid series is that you typically, all of them. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
Castlevania.
Symphony of Night has
you start off typically, if not overpowered, very capably powered, and then for whatever reason, the plot happens, and then you lose all your powers, and you go back to basically your basics,
right?
And then you kind of work yourself back up from there.
Right.
And in most of them, you work your way up to different powers than you actually started the game with.
Yeah, and it also like kind of gives you like the beginning of the game like gives you a taste of how cool you can be, and then takes that away from you, and it's like, all right, build up to be that cool.
Exactly. And it's usually based in the form of acquiring new suit upgrades, like literally like new armor that's going to do stuff, or like gun augments, because the constant with Samus was that even at her base form she had a gun, like she had
she had her arm cannon,
a pea shooter in the beginning, and then like a wave fucking destroyer in the end.
And the game, this kind of game genre, I guess, has been getting more and more prevalent throughout the years. Like first it was kind of just the Metroid series, and then Castlevania started to pick up some of the elements, and then like there was a bit of a drought where it was really just only Castlevania and Metroids that were getting made, and then as the kind of indie game surge started to happen in the mid 2000s and continuing on today, smaller developers that really grew up on these games, which are like very revered games, as you can see right there in the middle is Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. And it is still today considered to be one of the video game masterpieces.
Yeah, certainly.
And it well deserves it. It's excellent in its pacing and its gameplay, and
it's
everything.
Superbly well put together. But it's also I have to just be honest and say that I cannot go back to Super SNES gameplay.
Really?
Because I've been spoiled. I play PS4. Like I play PC games. I don't. Even like, because like it's a great game, but it's very slow. It is like physically, you just like it takes you a long time to cross the screen. It's very pixely. There's not, especially compared to what we have now that are even like 2D Metroidvania platforming type like run and gunners. They're like way nicer on the eyes. They're way prettier. There's a lot more going on, and it's still pixely. There's still the aesthetic.
Yeah, I can understand that. I would say like when I played Super Metroid, I only replayed Super Metroid, or played it for the first time. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
I played that copy because I'm a huge Metroid fan. I bought myself a Super Nintendo, and this copy, this was a $40 fucking copy of Super Metroid.
It's worth it. It's a relic of the past. It's a relic of our history as game people. Gamers.
And when I initially was playing it, it was harsh. It was like it wasn't like brutal, but it was harsh and difficult, and it was like I'm being held down by sand.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But it was still very good. It was still very good at gameplay. It plays once you get the feel of the controls. It's plays smooth, and you can do a lot with it, which is a very important aspect of at least the Metroid series.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm just as easy. I can play it on my phone on an emulated copy. I wouldn't need to go out and get a whole SNES.
I was gonna say they've put it on like literally everything.
They have.
And you
pick the most TI-84.
Yeah, you picked the most expensive way to play it.
I did pick the most obtuse way to play it, but I want the relics.
You want to be a purist about it. I can respect the hustle.
I got an SNES top loader for this, like not even the regular one.
Oh my God.
Do you even have a TV that you could play it on?
Not anymore.
Did you have to find a CRT screen somewhere?
I think that old monitor right there is old enough to have the AV plugs, but every other monitor that I've had.
But that's the other thing. You literally can't even go back and play it from those places. You have to like go out and get equipment.
I would go buy a CRT screen to play it, because I could probably go for like $10.
Yeah, or you could buy the what is it? They have the AVI to HDMI converters. But that's kind of cheating.
Yeah,
get a big ass CRTV.
Yeah, you want to. I want to.
Gotta commit to it.
I want to finish the game and then smash.
Yeah, you might as well commit to it.
I finished.
Boom! I don't need the CRT anymore.
Yeah, I did the Metroid thing.
But yeah, so Metroid is the Metroidvania genre has become very prevalent.
I also want to say that whereas Castlevania has had like a number of different main characters in pretty much every installation, it's always Samus.
Yeah, always a girl.
Yeah. Oh, and Samus is a lady.
Yeah.
In case anybody was left who didn't know that.
She's a gamer girl.
Yeah.
And she is Anita Sarkeesian.
Yeah. She's basically a Ripley.
Yeah,
Ripley
from
from Alien.
Which is funny because there's also Ridley.
Yeah.
Right.
Her main villain is called Ridley.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And nobody knows if it's just like kind of the bastardization of Ripley or based on Ridley Scott.
Yeah. No one's decided yet. Yeah. It's just
like that's one.
I think Ridley Scott knows what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think Ridley Scott knows.
Ridley Scott in real life is also a dragon person. So.
Yeah, that's common knowledge.
Yeah, clearly ripped from that.
Yeah. But it's been very influential, and the formula for its kind of gameplay, which is this like power up and explore type gameplay.
Also a little bit dark.
Yeah.
Just overall
atmospheric.
Atmospheric.
It tends to be very lonely.
Alone in a distant, new, hostile place.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like showing and not telling what's going on. Like you kind of piece things together here and there, and
like you have like a weird link to history. That like the what's the Chozo? Is that
Chozo.
Yeah, there's like
people.
Yeah, there's like all these things in Super Metroid that are like these weird bird statues, but they also conveniently have upgrades
like all the time.
Yeah, they fit you, and you all just manage to like fit perfectly into it.
Well, because the thing is, like Samus,
right?
Like when you go into her backstory, which is like,
right? She was raised by them.
Yeah. So like her family and like everybody in the colony, whatever she was a part of, was like exterminated by
Ridley.
By Ridley.
Yeah.
Who's a space pirate?
He's very, very petty. Like he shows up in like every game just to mess with her.
Yeah,
like it's
and sometimes different versions of it. Sometimes he comes back from the dead.
There's like robot Ridley when he's dead, and he's just like, I came back out of pure spite.
There's like Robo Ridley, and then there's like Cyborg Ridley, because Robo Ridley is like somebody made a Ridley.
Someone made a Ridley.
Then there's like Meta Ridley. Meta Ridley, where it's just like, I put robot things in me to fight you harder.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And the Chozo, the Chozo bird people are like founders, just like, oh, we'll take care of this little human girl. We'll give her our DNA a little bit, make her super powered.
That was it. Like,
make her
that's why the suit was compatible.
Yeah.
She had,
also,
like, Chozo DNA.
Can you move over a little bit, get more of your face?
Okay.
I need to address, because I completely forgot that the Chozo were bird people.
They are bird people. They got weird beaks and stuff.
And Leo fucking hates bird people.
I hate bird people.
Why do you hate bird people?
They just don't. They're not right.
I don't judge.
But so like people. For you to be out here and be like Castlevania is the inferior product, it's like then you have to admit you love bird people.
I forgot what initially spurred my bird people hate, but I've
was it not Bird Person from Rick and Morty?
It might have been. I really don't.
Because you like Harvey Birdman.
I do like Harvey Birdman.
You gotta be consistent.
He's also a crime
against
nature.
He's not a bird person.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, he's more man than he is bird.
Yeah, it's a very I think there's a line in the sand there.
I think that that's another podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole.
I would love to talk about Harvey Birdman. One of my favorite shows.
Oh yeah,
still relevant. Unfortunately,
it really is, yeah. Unfortunately,
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, excellent on it. But yeah, so Metroid's great. People have been doing it, and in the recent years, the some of the games that we've played that have really taken up this kind of gameplay style is Hollow Knight.
Oh yeah,
that Spencer has played. I was recently playing through Axiom Verge, which really was just like trying to be a love letter to Super Metroid.
Right. And then Ori and the Blind Forest, another one like that.
Yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest had like huge critical acclaim when it came out.
Oh my god, there's going to be a sequel soon.
Yeah, and then we'll even get into the further topic of the kind of 3D iterations, which while there was a 3D Metroid trilogy.
There was more than just the trilogy.
Was there?
There was other M.
No, that's different.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, we'll get to
3D Metroid.
Yeah.
Right. With jiggle physics.
They do love those.
Yeah, we don't talk about it.
We don't talk about that.
But we try not to sexualize Samus.
Very much so. But Dark Souls, I was going to say. Dark Souls and kind of the Blood Souls series of games.
Right. Took a lot of inspiration from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get to those.
Yeah. That's just the...
So, to go through, I guess I'll go through some of the history of the Metroid games. So the first Metroid game was made on the NES, and it was very basic and very hard. It was... I'll put up some footage right now of what the original Metroid looks like. It looks horrendous. Samus looks like I don't even know what. That's not a real character.
That is
the sprite is so awkward looking.
Blocks.
Yeah. But it was
the bullets are so awkward looking.
Yeah. Like little oranges.
Yeah. But it was pretty compelling for what was made at that time. Like back then, there were not a lot of heavy expectations for games.
Right.
And it
wasn't it. It was 8-bit, right? And then SNES was 16-bit.
Yeah. So, but people liked it enough, and Nintendo liked it enough that they made a sequel for the Game Boy. Which kind of
Game Boy Pocket,
just the Game Boy.
Just Game Boy,
yeah.
Did that sequel come out before Super Metroid?
Yes, because it was Metroid 2,
Return of Samus,
and that's kind of really when the form of the Metroid gameplay started to really come up.
Yeah,
which was remade recently.
Yeah, it was remade.
Is that the DS one, the 3DS?
Yeah. 3DS one, yeah.
Yeah, and that one, and that the Nintendo they looked after. There was not ASMR, but another Metroid.
Another Metroid. It was another Metroid. Rebuild? Yeah, another Metroid 2 reboot or something. Yeah. It was basically a fan remake of Metroid 2 before Nintendo's official remake came out, which was very, very good, and they had a lot of quality of life change because Metroid 2
the diagonal shooting.
Yeah, and Metroid 2 is again another very, very rough game to go back to, especially on Game Boy.
Yeah, very rough, very rough.
So yeah, so that was also created on that, and there's a lot of like little history behind that.
Yeah, and then from there, Super Metroid was made in I believe 1992 or 1991.
Right. Yeah.
And it was
this is Metroid. This is really when it took off. It's almost like Metal Gear.
Yeah,
because you had Metal Gear 1 and 2 before you had Metal Gear Solid, which is when the series became Metal Gear Solid.
And then I'm uncertain who were the people who made it. It was I think Nintendo's R&D Team 3 or something.
Yeah,
that's what they called it. But
I think Sakamoto was the head of it. So
I don't remember.
But he also worked on other and he also worked on like the WarioWare series.
Yeah,
we don't have Brian with us on the keyboard today, so that's why this not as much information.
Yes, right. But. It was utterly fantastic. As I said before, it's still considered a masterpiece to this day, and it really captured what the essence of the Metroid and the kind of the Metroidvania series and genre would be, kind of from that point forward.
Yeah, the core concepts are established. So I would say that just to lay them out specifically, what we mean by the core concept would be save point progression, map building, ability progression, and like backtracking.
Backtracking. While in other video games, like backtracking is usually considered to be like a down point, like something you don't want to do.
Right.
Metroidvania type games, the game has to be built to backtrack. Right. You will be going through these rooms for multiple reasons, multiple times throughout the game
with new abilities. That's why it doesn't get stale. That's why in any other game, going back would feel like just being needlessly repetitive,
right?
Because you're not really bringing anything new to that area,
or you feel like you did something wrong, and it's like, I have to go back and figure it out.
Exactly. But this is like you're coming back better equiped now, so there's going to be stuff. You're backtracking, yes, but you're also making progress because there's places you couldn't do.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're in the early stages of any of these games, there'll be so many rooms you'll pass through and be like, what's that thing? I can't reach it. Like, but I can barely not reach it. Like, maybe I'll be able to reach it soon, or like maybe I'll have a weapon that'll open up this door, or break this block.
Like I haven't seen that color do it before, so that means I'm going to get something new soon.
Yeah, like what is it? Like these games, like they come off like on the surface they seem like very non-linear experiences where like instead of going from level to level you're just like going back and forth and like you find all these different branching paths, but then under the hood of it all the game is sort of guiding you through these linear in a linear fashion with all these like roadblocks and stuff that you can't get through. So.
It basically says like, well, you can't go there and there,
right?
But you can go there,
right? So. Process of elimination.
But then the more that you get, the more that it opens up, and a little bit less linear the path making becomes. Like you can go like as soon as you have like some bare minimum movement stuff, you can definitely get past certain walls and things like that.
Right.
And you could probably get to a different, like you probably get like to the super missile before you get to the super bomb and things like that. You know.
Yeah. And then that gets that is also a very deliberate design choice by these game creators, because eventually as this game kind of like picked up prestige and kind of picked up the audience, the speedrunning community really fell in love with Metroid. I believe still to this day, like every single game's done quick is ended with some type of Super Metroid race.
Every year.
And the reason that it ends with Super Metroid race is because Super Metroid is so well designed for speedrunning, because there's this thing called sequence breaking, which is essentially when you kind of go a separate path than the game creators intended you to go. So as we were saying before, like when the game is laid out, and like there is a very linear progression to the way that you're supposed to play the game based on what power-ups you're supposed to get to, and then what that opens up. Right. But if you are more skilled, or if you are more knowledgeable, there are ways to go around barriers that would have otherwise required a certain item to get other items first, and then even possibly completely miss items throughout the whole gameplay. I mean, through the whole game, and be able to finish the game with like only a handful of like weird power-ups that kind of mismatch.
Don't seem contiguous.
Yeah.
And this was something that was designed in by the game creator.
Because I was going to say, because there's a lot of them that are not game breaking. Like you're not like going outside the bounds of the map and stuff like that. You're just using stuff in ways that seem a little less unconventional, like the bomb hop for the most basic one, right?
Yeah. So the bomb hop in Metroid, one of Samus's like core moves is this like a bomb where when she rolls up into her morph ball, she has a little bomb. And in the 2D Metroids, or I think most of the Metroids, if she blows up on top of the bomb, it'll boost her up a little bit.
She'll hop up a bit.
And on the 2D one specifically, if you can match the timing correctly, because you can have 3 bombs out at a time, and if you match the timing just right time, so that you hop up, you put a bomb in the air, you come back down, and then the second bomb that you had blows up, and when you hit the next bomb as it's blowing up, and then you can just keep on doing that. And you can get a lot of verticality with that, and then you can you can really skip so many different obstacles. Any height-based obstacle you can really skip,
which is
like
a good
that.
portion of them. Yeah.
And you can still move laterally in the air too, so you can do a little bit of like a.
Yeah, if you're really good, you can hop sideways.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard though.
I was not really good.
Yeah, it's tough, and there's also a lot of crazy stuff you can do with the wall jumping too.
Yeah, wall jumping is a very good, very important thing.
This might have been one of the first games that did wall jumping too, in my memory.
Yeah, and one of the crazier aspects is the single wall jumping, which I think is probably the most difficult trick in the Metroid franchise.
Right. Like jumping off the wall and back onto the same wall.
Yeah, and then jumping back off of it.
Yeah, because the game will like make you like do 2 of them, which will be like the legal way to do it. But then it's like if you can technically do it off one wall, and that just like opens up the whole game.
Yeah.
But it makes it tough because it does push you out a certain way from the wall when you jump. So you have to be like almost pixel perfect on when you're getting back to it.
It is a very skilled maneuver.
But it's become I think part of every game that has had wall jumping since after. Like Mega Man has done that. I think Hollow Knight did a little bit of that.
Yeah, Hollow Knight has the one jump. I mean the one wall jump where you just like hop up.
Super Meat Boy has done that. Like any platformer now has done basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Celeste is a lot of that.
Right.
And then so Super Metroid came out, fantastic. Had all the staples. After that came out the Metroid Fusion. Came out in
was that the next in the follow-up to Super Metroid.
I believe it. Spencer, do you remember it correctly?
It's either Fusion or Zero Mission that came first.
No, I think Zero Mission came out last.
I feel like the timeline is so much different in my head.
Yeah, because the way that
the first one I played was Zero Mission.
The way that I'm remembering it is it's Metroid 1, 2, Metroid Super Metroid, then Metroid Fusion, Metroid Prime, and then a Metroid.
Let's see. So
Zero Mission.
Fusion came out in 2002, and then Zero Mission came out in 2004. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so then Fusion was the first one I played.
Right.
I remember because you can get the special suit in Metroid Prime by plugging in your Metroid Fusion.
Yeah.
With that little adapter.
I've never had that. I was so mad.
I never had it either, but I wish I could.
Also, whenever Prime came out, my family moved to a new apartment, and it was lost in the fray, and I'll never get that back.
Sorry.
That's why a friend of ours has a cracked Wii that has the Metroid Primes on it, so I wanted to get that from him at some point.
The Wii versions of Metroid Prime is actually surprisingly intuitive.
I heard 3 wasn't great.
I don't know.
I loved 1 and 2.
I would say for the most part the Metroid trilogy games are pretty much the same game like at its bare bones,
right?
Just like gameplay style. Like there's there's add-ons.
Metroid 2
missions.
had some genuinely scare the shit out of me moments. Metroid Prime 2.
Yeah. But that's kind of really the series. Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion were two different iterations. Metroid Zero Mission was a remake of the first
one.
Yeah.
Excellent, and it added some stuff towards the end.
Added so much color and vibrancy and like a whole new section of game.
Yeah, it brought a lot of life to the
so like the purple and yellow.
Yeah, it's hard to go back to first Metroid.
It's
you don't want to
because there's only like 8 colors. You're like,
you really don't want to.
It's not. Yeah.
And then Metroid Fusion was like a bit of a departure. It tried to make it a a more linear.
Yeah, I think it was
and
probably
a bit more story based.
reintroducing Metroid to people. Yeah, that was on the Game Boy Advance at that point.
I will say that it was very accessible.
It was, It was very linear in its level design, where it had what was it? Samus gets a distress call from this like research facility, and she's basically locked in there by herself. The entire crew has become like zombies. Right, and she gets infected with like this parasite, the SAX.
Mm-hmm. And that thing was creepy.
That thing is, dude. Metroid Fusion is terrifying.
Yeah, because the first time it shows up, like it's after Samus walks off screen.
Yeah.
Right,
and we've never seen that before in Metroid and Castlevania.
Right.
It's always been Samus on screen.
Right.
And then it's like Samus walks away, and then there's like
something else
this
comes
creepy
out.
Fucking.
It didn't even like it like blew through the wall and then just
yeah.
like fucking chugged slowly through the screen. Just like
like
Samus.
that thing is horrifying. And so basically like there's different Samus goes through different sections of this spaceship in a very linear fashion, where it's like, okay, we got through this part and now this part unlocked, and within each section there's like little traditional Metroidvania sections where you find different secrets and you find different winding paths, but it's very much like a linear, more condensed version.
Yeah, and then more. I think the most importantly with the linear aspect is
doesn't she become friends with a baby Metroid in Fusion?
No, that's in
Super Metroid.
Super Metroid.
At the end of it, yeah.
But most importantly, the game has a second character. Traditionally, in the Metroid games, you're the only character, the only character that like has any type of any type of empathy towards.
Right.
But in a Fusion, there's like this commander who's like kind of giving you orders.
Right.
Who's just like go here, go there, go there, go there. And traditionally, that that has never happened.
Yeah, Samus has been alone by herself. She's a lone bounty hunter.
Right.
She works alone.
She don't need no one. Yeah. What is it? It's this commander who she's got like a mysterious past with, and it's also like this like creepy AI that's like running the ship. It kind of like a la HAL.
Yeah.
And she, like, as you go through the game, you start like finding out like all these secrets about like what actually went down in this facility.
What the research was for.
Right. And then it's like Samus has to like stay on protocol, and the AI is like, you better stay on protocol, and then Samus is like, you guys have been doing some shady stuff here.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, it's got one of my favorite like story.
I don't remember. Is Ridley make an appearance in Fusion?
No, Frozen Ridley does. What is it like? There's like a like.
Yes. No, I think no. At the end, maybe.
There's what is it? There's like they in Fusion. There's like a scene where you go into like this like Frozen's like this like.
It was like they were like doing experiments on.
Yeah, there's like this like freezer section, and you find like Ridley's body, and like and it's kind of funny because like Samus gets like all like she's like, oh shit, I gotta like fight him, and then like the body just like falls apart, and you're just like, oh okay, I don't gotta fight him. But then you walk into the next room, and then the virus infects the body, so you gotta fight like this like infected Ridley.
Yeah, and I would say for that game, the enemies, specifically the boss enemies, were probably some of the most inventive looking 2D boss enemies in the franchise. And like the franchise is known for having like very interesting alien like monster concepts. Like they're pretty out there. But I don't know who was the design team for these character monsters in Fusion, but whoever it was excellent.
Yeah, I need to replay Fusion.
Yeah,
because it's been a long time.
It's like a first time playthrough, it's probably like 6 hours straight.
The only problem is that like it's so hard to play certain Game Boy Advance ports on your phone because the trigger buttons are so necessary.
Yeah,
and you can't do you cannot do the motion control or the shoot or the jump and the trigger.
Yeah, I have a Super Nintendo controller with a PC adapter if you want to borrow it.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, because I would say like the Game Boy Advance and Super Metroid games play really
like to emulate like those kinds of games on the go. You know, like I don't want to sit down and play Nintendo, put them on my house.
I would say Metroid. The Metroid games are definitely good.
Nintendo, get on it.
Yeah,
right? They might already be on it. Like go check the store.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, they're really bad with their
Why don't they just
releases.
port the game so everybody can buy the same game 14 times across their lifetime?
Think it makes money.
Nintendo, you're missing out on like $15 again.
I will gladly, like, what is it? It was a funny story because I bought the very first time I played Super Metroid was thanks. They were doing this like 30-year anniversary thing, and this is when like there was like no games on the Wii. I mean, there still weren't any games on the Wii U.
Yeah.
And
there's No More Heroes too
on the Wii U.
I think so.
No, it was on the Wii.
Oh, that was the Wii.
Yeah.
Ah, fuck, never mind.
No, but anyway, so like they were doing like they were selling a bunch of classic games for like 30 cents. So I was like, oh, there were no games out, so I bought Super Metroid, and it was great. But and I just played it like for the whole summer because like no games came out for the Wii U. And,
wow.
But I spent like 30 cents.
I forgot the Wii U was a product.
Yeah,
if Brian still has his Wii U, he had a Metroid Fusion.
I have it on mine. You can have it.
What does the Wii U look like again?
It's like the
tablet.
tablet.
Bad Dreamcast. Right?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
It's a mistake.
It was a mistake. Well, it was the stepping stone to the Switch, which is a phenomenal console.
Yeah.
People were worried about the Switch when it first dropped.
Yeah, I
They were
was.
like, is this gonna make it? Like, is there anything on it?
Yeah.
And then everything's on.
And then now, literally, like Nintendo's like, we don't care about that M-rated shit anymore. Doom.
Yeah.
But I feel like that I have I've said the most to say about the 2D Metroids. 3D Metroids, kind of a lot of the same thing. They just kind of really revamp it for 3D. It was a little rougher on the edges, but it was still excellent.
The platforming probably my favorite part of Metroid games is the platforming. I love platforming games.
Right.
And I thought it was gonna be weird because it's a first-person shooter camera, but it still worked. Like if you were like, it was like a really floaty game. Like you were given a lot of room to kind of you hang in the air when you did do the platforming, so you could see where all the platforms were.
And I do remember specifically.
There's no fall damage either.
Yeah, there were specifically some parts of the game that messed with gravity. That there were some different gravity settings, and that was cool.
And the platforms are like big enough, so it's like it's forgiving enough. You know,
and the sound design of that game was insane.
The sound design of the atmosphere is like perfect because it's just like.
Well, that's also such a huge aspect of the Metroidvania genre, just like
atmosphere building.
Yeah, because traditionally it's like usually you shouldn't catch too much music on a Metroid. Game, or Metroidvania game.
Right.
It should be like maybe a little bit of like kind of like ambience.
I don't really have much memory of the music from like the SNES stuff or anything like that, but Prime had some really good shit. Like Prime had some really ethereal tracks.
Oh yeah.
There's some music from Prime that I can still hear now. Like that's stuck with me.
What are the one lava themes like like that shit slaps.
Yeah, and I think I think there's like this one, even like Metroid Prime 2 had like this one track when you were just like on like navigating, I think one of the like the first like hub parts. And it was just like, it sounds almost like what is now a Tame Impala song, but it's so ethereal. It's like,
It really messed with that.
And it fucked me up.
Yeah.
Like it was like, this is creepy as shit.
Yeah.
Like I felt I was so alone. It was like, it's an alien as fuck world.
Right.
The creatures in that world with the dark ones were like, oh my
they were
god.
terrifying.
Yeah. And I was what, like 13, 15?
Yeah, and it's like, what is it, like, especially with the Prime series, it's like
you're right there.
You're right there, and you hear like Samus like breathing, and you see like, and like you hear her like getting like,
that's like the part of the sound of that, and you can hear like the difference in the footsteps and different materials.
Yeah, the sound design is fantastic,
and it just all helps like bring home how alone you are. Like just like the hollowness is like, it's just me fucking.
That's it.
I always very specifically remember that in Metroid Prime, like if you go really close to a wall and like shoot a charge shot just into a wall,
you see
you could see your reflection in your
you see your eyes. They didn't need to do that, but they did.
And it was crazy. It was so cool.
It's like, oh my god, she has eyes.
Right. She's not just a helmet. She's a person.
But yeah, so Vin, you're more versed on the Castlevania side of things. So can you go into that?
So I didn't play like the very first Castlevanias, like the ones that would have been on like. Where the fuck did they even drop?
I think they were PlayStation 1.
They were PlayStation games, yeah. Okay,
Sony had it. The Castle, like the Metroidvania Castlevania.
Oh, Symphony of the Night, yeah.
Like Symphony of the Night definitely was PlayStation.
That was a big PS1 game.
Yeah, it was probably the best game on PS1 for a little while.
Yeah, because the first Castlevania, like up to Castlevania 4, I think, were all the kind of very similar to the first one.
Yeah, those are all like the Belmonts with the chain and with the whip. Though that's like the iconic.
Right.
This is like Castlevania's mechanic. Like it was all whip. like the Belmont like cross whip or something like that.
Yeah, you go
and so that
forward
was
to the
really
boss.
interesting. So it was almost like a projectile and not like you were still like attacking. So like I never played those firsthand, but I have like watched people play them and stuff. Like 'cause they also get speed run.
And they design the levels around like that range, and it's they do a lot of really interesting stuff with it.
Yeah, and like there's weird hit boxes for certain enemies where you could like kind of just stand there and just like swing the fucking whip around and just wreck people.
Which I love that they just remade in Smash. Where like you just like you like hold. You put out the whip and you hold down A and then you start like wailing out. And like it actually does damage and stuff. So
exactly. I think it's from Castlevania 4. Like in the Super, like you can just kind of like just let the whip sing and just like
because they had like the extra graphics, so they were like we can have a really highly detailed whip now. We can just like make it go nuts.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And you can see like the individual segments of it. But so it's basically the same kind of formula where you have this big overarching map that winds up connecting to itself in weird places, and you'll find certain doors will lead you into new areas and stuff. There's still like a distinct sense of levels in Castlevania because each individual places will have individual names. Like you'll be in the library or like the castle or the courtyard. Where like Metroid never really did that specifically.
They
you were just on the planet Phoebes or something.
They have every zone had a name. Like I don't get the name thing in Castlevania because for Metroid it's just like the names were kind of more like happenstance. Like it didn't really matter what anything was named in Metroid. Because in the end what only matters is kind of like the level or like what's in there.
So I would say that part of that comes from there was a much bigger focus on narrative in Castlevania. Metroid, the story of Metroid is that you are alone and you are figuring out this planet and you're fighting a contained story. In Castlevania, it is very much in the like especially so the first 4 you are a Belmont in the line of the generational line of Belmonts who have always fought Dracula. Because Dracula is
insane.
Well, like I mean, it's like a whole commitment.
Well, your whole clan. But the thing is, the whole conceit of that is that Dracula is an immortal, ever resurrecting evil.
Just leave him alone. Like,
but if you leave him alone, then everyone's going to be vampires.
Hey, but what if I don't want to fit him?
You don't have to. You're not a Belmont.
Well, that's literally the plot of season 2 of the anime. So
I haven't watched it.
Very good.
Oh, I've heard the anime.
It's very.
I heard it was very good. Yeah.
Very, very good.
But I hope they never make a Metroid anime.
But I hope they do. I hope they do.
I hope they don't.
And I hope it's more jiggle physics.
The guy who made the Castlevania anime is doing a Devil May Cry anime, Adishan Kar, so I'm excited for that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's going to be awesome.
He drove down to Hollywood himself and bought the rights to the Devil May Cry anime because, and I quote, I did not want the jabronis of Hollywood getting their hands on it.
Wow.
I respect that.
My man
also get a little closer to that mic.
My man in 2018 said jabroni, so I trust him.
Yeah, I say the word jabroni all the time.
Yeah.
Anybody who could say jabroni on an official statement, I immediately respect.
Yeah. Of course. Him and Danny DeVito, the only two people who could do it in public.
Yeah.
Quick aside. We recently watched.
Sorry.
Yeah. We recently watched the Mo Bamba video. Which I don't know if you recognize the name of the song, but if you were to hear the song, you recognize it. It's very popular right now.
Yeah,
it is ridiculous. It's insane. And it's hilarious. I respect the artist and the song so much more.
I don't think I've watched the music video.
There's somebody like swagging on you on like a wheelchair. Like he's flexing.
It's a very weird video.
Right.
Yeah, but it's great.
Yeah. Anyway. So Castlevania has like named sections. And like the names don't really matter, but they do show up every time you enter the space. Like there's like a little text box that says you're in the courtyard or you're in the library or whatever the fuck.
Never happens in Metroid.
But I mean, but it helps with the backtracking later on too, because you know that you have to go back to like the clock tower to do this particular section.
Well, it also helps because it's like you're in Dracula, because it's like, what is it, like Symphony of the Night, you play as Alucard,
right? And you're in Dracula's
it's his house, so he's got to name everything, right? You get confused.
Or any house like just intrinsically has like a name, like this is a bedroom,
right?
That is the living room out there. There is the bathroom,
right?
Like they don't have specific names, but like they have like there are zones to your home, right? And so this this is Dracula's home,
right?
But so I think that like that's as part of what adds to because most later Castlevania games, like this is the Vania in Castlevania,
right?
Because most of them, they do have name segments now, and they do.
Right.
Another thing that Castlevania brought in that we mentioned a little bit before, Metroid has no currency and no buying stuff. All of your upgrades are earned on the map,
right?
And in Castlevania, there are at least certain things that you can outright buy, like Symphony of the Night, particularly, right? This is like where the Breath of My Experience comes in. You start off same as Metroid with a level of dope power, but it's pretty much tied to the equipment that you have. You have Alucard's shield, you have Alucard's sword.
Right.
Aside from that, you don't have any of the actual abilities that you will later pick up in the game. You have an intrinsic dodge ability, so you dash backwards.
Okay.
But that's it. So you have all that and the equipment that you start the game with, and then. Right after like the first two screens, you have the power losing moment that always have, but it's like really physically like the equipment is taken off you and taken away.
Okay.
And you can reclaim all of those items later in the game, and you will reclaim them probably.
Dracula should have put them like in a safer place.
It wasn't even Dracula that did it.
Oh, it was the Grim Reaper. It was like
the Grim Reaper.
He should put him in a safer place because
that tricky guy does.
Well, I mean, he held on to them, I think. Like, actually, no, yeah, he like hid them all over the castle. Like, he'll never find them in all these rooms.
Right. I would have just threw him out.
Yeah. Right. But then but the game is also pretty quick to tell you how valuable equipment is, because the very first weapon you pick up afterwards is a rusty sword. Okay. And a rusty sword sometimes will do no damage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
like you'll still do the slashing motion,
right?
But nothing will happen on the end of it. But I think it's a valuable lesson, very quickly taught, that a lot of what your progression is going to be tied into is going to be the items you pick up on the way.
Right.
And there's going to be item management, because you're like, that's not the only rusty sword in the game, right? Like the enemies will drop items or coin or hearts, and there's different shops in different segments of the game where you can pick up different stuff. So you can get. I think you can equip either hand with something, or you can have like a two-handed weapon, or it's like a sword and shield, or it's like a sword and a sub-weapon or something like that. And then you have like armor, armor. And I think maybe there's a couple accessory slots. It's been a minute since I played. But basically, you start off and you have fucking nothing. Like you're just garbage. You also, what I think is important is that you can punch. Like you're not completely vulnerable without any equipment. You can still like attack stuff.
Nice.
But then so from there, it's like the same kind of Metroid gameplay where you have no idea where you're supposed to be going. You just have to go organically where you can go until you get powers that will let you go further and further later down the line. And like where Samus gets like a ball form, like Alucard gets a bat form, and I think he can also get a wolf form, where you can like move faster, and the bat one you can like go up and down. And I think that if you get hit in bat form, it automatically knocks you back into Alucard form, which can be kind of fucking fun. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. And also, there's some of the like the letdowns with like the equipment is that you have like a range to your attacks, and like sometimes like before you get a handle on it, you're not quite sure if it's that pixel or this pixel.
Right.
So you might be too close to that you're gonna get hit, but not close enough that you're gonna hit him. And like there's some troubleshooting with figuring all that out.
Boxes,
yeah.
How is the animation? Like, does the animation change like for different weapons, or is it like kind of the same?
Yeah. So it's a lot of it is similar, but it'll be like an addition of like you can do. There's like a noticeable difference in length between like a long sword and like a dagger.
Right.
But will they do like the same animation?
It's still like you're swinging out to the side, but it'll like there'll be like a longer swing,
right?
Like, and you'll see the swing, like the weight of the motion of it,
right? Okay.
Or like a lot of it'll just be cosmetic looking. Like, it'll just literally be how long it is or what color it is. But then like certain other items will have different animations altogether.
Okay.
And also, so then there's also sub weapons. Sub weapons are a big part of all Castlevanias. You've played Smash, right?
Yeah.
So you know how Richter, like sometimes he can throw like a bottle of holy water that starts a fire. He can throw an axe that does like a parabolic motion, and then he can throw like daggers that just shoot right forward.
Right.
That's also a trade-off all throughout the game, because you can only have one sub weapon at a time.
Okay.
So you have to like be careful with which one you're going with, because some of them are like better than others. Like the Holy Cross has always been my favorite. It's like a boomerang that just goes straight out and
straightforward.
back. Yeah. And I think also you can like there's a super tied to most of them as well, where like if you press like if you like hold like a button combination, you do like a bigger version of the same attack with that sub weapon. That might have come in later after Symphony of the Night. I should have done more research, but basically, yeah. So like the whole game is just tied into the equipment, and once you get all the equipment, you really feel like a badass.
Right.
And you go and you confront Dracula, and then nope. The whole thing is turned on its head, and then you have to play the entire game over with an inverted
They
map.
literally put it upside down.
Yeah,
Right.
and it's like new game. It's like you think that you're done,
right?
But then there's like 50% more game to do.
Right.
Yeah, I've always wondered like if that was like infuriating or not.
I thought it was awesome. It was like it was right when I thought I was like I had like the good feeling of like, oh wow, I beat the game, and then it was like, kind of wish there was more game to play. And then it's like, oh my god, there's so much more game to play. And at that point, you still feel confident in like getting around the map because it's still the same map, just literally upside down.
Okay.
So all of the floors are now ceilings, and like all of the directions are reversed, and it also opens up certain segments that were otherwise impossible to access. But then the other similarities of Metroid is like it's a save point system as well. I think you can get health upgrades and other basic upgrades, like you get abilities and stuff like that. But more often it's like tied into like the RPG elements of your equipment.
Right.
Oh, sorry. And then so that was on PlayStation 1.
Right.
And then they also had a couple of Game Boy Advance titles that came out.
Right.
It was Game Boy Advance is really good for this kind of genre of game.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's like because the Game Boy Advance, it has like the D-pad, the shoulder buttons, and the AB. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
But they made both fucking phenomenal games. It was Aria of Sorrow and Rondo of Blood, and I fucking can't remember which one was which anymore. But one of them I definitely liked way more. And it was where's my research? One of them, I think it was Rondo of Blood, where it introduced like a new kind of magic system where you had to collect like these like artifacts that had to be dropped by enemies. They were basically like spirits, and they were like basically I think it was like one of them. There was like 12 total or 14 total, and it was like 7 and 7, where like one was kind of like a passive ability and one was like more of an active ability, and the combination of them could do different stuff and give you different abilities. Like some of them would like a familiar, and one of them would mean that your health regenerates slowly over time, and combining those would like give you a familiar that attacks would heal you and stuff like that. So that it gave you like a little bit more with your abilities. So it's like imagine if you had like Metroid ability gains that you could then like combine together like Legos and make something else out of.
Nice. That's cute.
And they were both really competent, but that one I thought that system was so much cooler.
Yeah, what is it? I feel like Hollow Knight kind of picks that up a lot with the charm system, where you can just like combine different abilities and like, and then there's like the system where like some of them work in tandem with each other and stuff like that. So okay.
Yeah, I think this.
Rondo of Blood was made for the Super CD-ROM at first,
right?
And it was remade then for the Game Boy Advance.
What the fuck? What is a Super CD-ROM?
Huh?
What is a Super CD-ROM? Is that like for
I don't
PC
know.
or is that for like
PC Engine.
Huh.
I don't know what PC Engine is.
Okay.
I think like fuck. I might have been misremembering because it was remade as Castlevania: The Dracula X Chronicles.
Dracula X.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Right.
So what the fuck was Aria of Sorrow? Was the game
Aria of Sorrow is definitely something I've heard of.
Yeah.
I think that's the GBA game. Yeah. Well, one of the GBA games.
Yes. Because you're also still not a Belmont. I think
you're playing a Soma.
Yes, Soma Cruz. Soma Cruz.
Isn't Soma like also Dracula or something? Spoilers.
No, he's like the reincarnated version of Dracula or something.
Right.
But he has his own willpower as well.
Oh, okay.
He's like a real boy.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And he's like the I think he's like the first teenager too. So he's like for the younger crowd.
Yeah, that's cute.
But I think this is probably a good point to start.
Tactical soul system. That's what they called it. This is for your tactical vest. You'd love it. Play Aria. Sorry, you'd like it. So you have tactical souls,
right?
And that's what it is that you can get. Like you put things together that So like it was like the card system I was saying where like certain things would just combine together and give you different shit.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
And then there was Dawn of Sorrow was the sequel to this.
Okay.
Okay. That was the two games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like
And
it was the same thing. There's like a sub weapon system, and it was always like axes, swords, things like that.
And I think to my knowledge, like Castlevania kind of moved away from that after kind of the GBA, and I think did they have a few DS games?
Yeah, it was a
Portrait
of Ringling.
Something. Yeah, I heard they were good. I didn't ever actually get around to playing them because they came out when I didn't have a DS, and also now I've lost my 3DS. I have no idea where it is.
You should find it.
It's a shame. Yeah,
I know. I'm. You think I'm not trying? I live in a pigsty.
I don't know where my 2DS is. I have a 2DS.
I thought I was looking at it right now.
I don't know.
What's that red thing over there?
That is not it.
Okay.
Is that not it?
No, it's not it.
Oh, okay. Kind of looks like it. Okay.
Right?
It does look.
There's a silhouette of it.
But this is probably a good point to start talking about other games that are not Castlevania and Metroid. Which the first one to kind of ease into it.
Well, no, but before we go into because I just always want to touch on that Castlevania also went into 3D later down the line. That they made like an Xbox game.
Lords of Shadow.
Lords of Shadow, that was it.
Yeah, which was like a God of War
made by Kojima.
It was like a DMC beat 'em up, slash 'em up, where you played as not Dracula, but like a Belmont who
forgot his name,
like becomes Dracula in the end of it.
Oh yeah,
that's weird.
Right, so this is my story
like
with that.
Right?
It was a very Kojima game.
The first one was apparently good.
It was
like
good.
It was well put together. It was solid. It was like a similar game to like God of War or DMC in this, but like there's a lot of that. You know, you can't criticize it too much for that because it did it well. Unfortunately, when I had found out about it, I was reading a review and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I love Castlevania. Let me go get this and pick it up. I accidentally got Lords of Shadow 2.
Oh no!
I wasn't paying attention when I was picking up the box, and that's the bad one.
That's the bad one.
Because they like whatever they did right in the first one, they just okay, what if we took that and just threw all of it out the window and added stealth segments for no reason?
Oh,
yeah. So like I played
did not work.
2 hours of Lords of Shadow 2, or maybe 4 hours. Too many fucking hours.
Yeah.
And literally in the beginning, they do the same thing, like they strip you of all your power, but you are Dracula. Like you are the Lord of Shadow now. Like you start off the game very much Dracula. Like in the cinematic, you like feast on like a woman and her child.
That's very Dracula.
It's and
classic
but then
Dracula.
Immediately thereafter, you're forced into a segment where you need to turn into a rat.
Classic Dracula.
Scoot past like a marine, like a space. It looks like a space marine. Like it's so dumb, but it's like. You feel like I know that Metroid and Castlevania are always about like robbing you of your power, so you feel like you need to like scrape it all back.
Right.
But you're already Dracula. Like you can't you turn me into a rat to escape one lowly grunt. Like it just felt insulting.
Yeah.
And there was way too much emphasis placed on those segments of the game. Like why do I have to turn into a rat? Can't I just brain control this guy, or I don't know anything else?
I will say so. This reminds me of because this trope was used in the God of War franchise for at least the first trilogy.
Right. In terms of like the stripping power.
Yeah. Yeah. So in the first one, like you just kind of start off lowly and then you work your way up. But in the second game,
in the first you always start off with like a magic that you use.
Right.
Yeah. In the second one, where you start off like literally the God of War, like at the end of the first game, you become the God of War.
Right.
Zeus like strikes you the fuck down and removes all your powers.
Right.
Yeah, and straight up impales you.
Yeah. And that was kind of an interesting way to like remove like what is ostensibly like you are like as powerful as can possibly be.
Take away your godhood.
Right.
Yeah.
Then just slowly build it back up.
Yeah, and then it drops you into Hades, so you have to literally work your way up to the bottom.
Your way out. Yeah.
But at least that it does it with a visual metaphor and with actually stripping you of power, so that it works. But you're Dracula, like. You cannot take your Dracula away from Dracula.
Right.
Like I should just be able to. How?
But how? Yeah.
But they don't. Yeah. They don't. Like they just show you as being weak. Like you haven't fed for like 100 years. But then like the first thing that you see in the game is you feeding on this fucking innocent woman. So it's
order some Seamless. I don't know.
Right. Or just go on a killing spree. There's a lot of regular humans around. Just eat them.
There are a lot of
then fight the weird space people.
How many humans do you really need? Like
it's okay. It's so dumb. We have to put on a fucking cutscene because it's in like a city too in the beginning.
There's a lot of people in cities.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And very few vampires to compete with.
Yeah.
Especially when you're Dracula. It's just that got me so mad. So, and I never even went back and played the first Lords of Shadow because I was so put off by it.
Thanks,
I was
Konami.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks, Konami.
But now that Castlevania is down the drain for there, well, Konami overall.
Oh yeah,
That's what it's. Yeah, but now we're gonna get. Now we have like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Bloodstain. I was actually gonna mention
made by Koji Igarashi, the original creator, of Symphony
Mr.
of the Night.
Spooky Man himself.
Yeah.
Which is another surprising successful Kickstarter from what we've been hearing. Yeah.
Does the game come out? Like, it's been a while.
Coming out.
So he put out like a teaser game prequel thing for it.
Right, but that was made. Well, that was supposed to emulate more the classic NES games, but he did put out a bunch of like beta demos and stuff just for like feedback, and people have been responding either positively or whatever they didn't like, they've been addressing in further demos.
Okay.
So, like
they're making,
which is very good. It's good to have feedback.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, hesitant of Kickstarter games ever since Mighty Number 9 just like blew up.
Definitely don't talk about Mighty Number 9.
Yeah, exactly. So it's especially because it was just like, what was it? Like, because Keiji Inafune, creator of Mega Man, was like, I'm going to make my own Mega Man. And then
but he wasn't even like the creator.
No, he wasn't.
He was the producer.
Yeah, and he was like, but then
he
like...
was like a numbers guy.
Yeah.
The art,
probably
story, or
probably like more like the money guy. Like,
that's what I mean, like the numbers. Like, he gave them the funds.
Right, and then when Igarashi came out, he was like, it kind of... His announcements was in the same vein where it's just like, oh, Konami's not letting me make Castlevania, so I'm going to make my own Castlevania. So everyone was just like, ooh...
We tried to do that with Mega Man. Like, don't ruin good properties.
But this guy makes video games.
Right.
Good ones.
And also, he's all about this aesthetic. Like, did you see that Kickstarter video?
He was very ridiculous looking.
He was,
but he knew it. Like, he was owning it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good. That's
right.
He rented a castle for it.
He rented a castle.
Yeah,
that's where all the Kickstarter money went.
But yeah, no, that looks really good.
Yeah, it's coming out in the summer. I'm super excited for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But also, I think Ori and the Blind Forest was a Kickstarter game.
Was it?
I think so. Hollow Knight had some Kickstarter to it too.
Hollow Knight was Kickstarter, yeah.
So like it's definitely possible to get crowdfunded games. that are good.
people are just wary of it now.
Yeah,
so.
But you just say so like you just pick where your money goes more responsibly.
Yeah.
But at least Kickstarter refunds you if it doesn't go through.
Yeah.
But then if it goes through and it's bad,
if it comes through and it's Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
Well, here's the perfect time to start talking about the games like Hollow Knight and
the new gen,
Blind Forest,
generation,
the ones that have taken up the Metroidvania match.
The Axiom Verge. So I'll start off with Axiom Verge.
Yeah, I haven't played that. I've only seen
I've played like a little bit. I've been playing like a little bit of the past few days, and
that's a shooting one.
It's like very much a love letter to Super Metroid. Like it has a lot of the same type of pixel style, a lot of the same type of the sound aesthetic.
Bring up some.
We'll bring up a little bit of it. A lot of the just kind of the loneliness and solemnness and kind of like uncaringness that the Metroid games had a lot of.
Okay, just from the first still, I'm getting so much Metroid vibe.
Like it's like
super, oh my god,
it's like SNES like to the T.
Yeah. But with all like the modern flair.
Yeah. Like how does it play? Does it feel fluid? Does it feel?
It feels. I wouldn't say it feels fluid. But it feels good enough. Like you control your character, and what you want your character to do, and what you put in your controller, your character will do.
Okay. That's the most important thing in like a movement like platformer like that.
It's very limited to kind of like the Metroid set, which is like move forward and like shoot in your 8 directions, and but you do get to pick different weapons. There's like I think it's like overall 8 different weapons that have different effects.
Okay.
So that's interesting in the gameplay. But outside of that, it's kind of just very much like Metroid. Like a lot of the like kind of the enemies that just like circle around like a platform and don't do anything happen. Like their enemies that just kind of go back and forth.
Enemies that you have to freeze to use as platforms.
Yeah. And the bosses actually, I thought were particularly interesting because they had a lot of the Metroid flair. They had a lot like very interesting design. The gameplay was so like what their moves were against you were like all right, but it was compelling enough.
Right. Okay.
I would say
any story in it, or
so far it's like you were doing some experiment, and then like the experiment went wrong, and then you woke up in this place, and then it's like this kind of weird.
And are you in a suit, or are you just like have a gun?
You're just a guy with a gun.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's like there's not a lot of explanation that's happening to it. It's like you get this gun can get powered up, and you can do things with it.
Okay.
But it plays plays exactly kind of what a Metroid player would want. You know, it's a lot of map exploration, a lot of like you go to certain places, just like, oh, can't jump high enough for that. I don't have the item for this thing.
Right.
I need to, like, you know, get another item to be able to fight this monster, or like get through this block, or just do whatever.
What is the movement like? Is it you got a double jump, I'm assuming?
I haven't gotten a double jump yet. I think you get a high jump.
Do you get a small version to crawl through holes?
No. But you do get a drill. You get this drill. Yeah, you get a drill, and you can drill through certain blocks.
I see.
There is a certain point where you get this kind of phaser thing, where you kind of like literally phase through the walls.
Ooh, okay.
And there's this like theme of like corruption. Like literally, there's like some pixels in certain areas look like a Super Nintendo's corrupted.
That
like,
seems to be kind of a theme throughout a lot of these games, because like there was that in Fusion, kind of, right?
Yeah.
And Hollow Knight.
Yeah, a lot of corruption there.
Yeah, and you can like you get another corruption beam that can like change the properties of some of them.
Okay.
So one of them is just like this weird like thing that had these things floating up. You can corrupt. Excuse me. You can corrupt the little. Oh my God! Am I radiating?
I know. It's the perils of living in a pre-war building.
Yeah. You can corrupt the little things that are like floating up, and then they turn to platforms.
Oh, that's
okay. So it's basically like freezing enemies to make platforms.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And you can do that with other objects. Sometimes like you can like whole walls are corrupted, and you can like uncorrupt and like can get through it.
Nice.
And
Okay.
but you know it just has like you get the different weapons, and with the different weapons you can progress in different areas because you passed by it before, and it was just like, oh, that was a weird thing that I could deal with now that I have this.
Where are you playing it? PC, right?
I'm playing on PC. I got a DMR free copy if you want.
Do you play mouse keyboard, or do you
I was playing initially with mouse keyboard, and I played it for like it felt really wrong.
Yeah.
I was playing it for like maybe 10-15 minutes.
Right.
Then I set up the joy to key with my Super Nintendo pad,
Nice.
and it was like that.
Do you have a PlayStation controller?
I do. I have many PlayStation, but I don't have a PlayStation to PC adapter. I have a Super Nintendo to PC adapter.
You need a PlayStation to PC adapter?
Yes.
Oh, because you have like a PS2 controller.
Yeah, I have PS2 controllers, not like a.
I thought you were talking about like PS3, where you could just.
I had a Logitech wireless keyboard, wireless gamepad, but I lost the little dongle for
You
it.
didn't get the Steam controller, bro.
I played the Steam controller once,
circles,
and it was so weird.
I would not want to do that.
That thing is insane.
I don't know who designed it, or I wonder what way that was
Just
intuitive.
Just circles, man.
Yeah.
But you don't need
It was-
joysticks. Just circles.
put two little bolts.
Yeah.
But it was very interesting, and it like itched the itch of the Super Metroid itch.
Scratched.
Okay.
Yeah, and it felt like it wasn't trying to do anything but that. Just kind of be pretty all right at it.
Right. That's what I like. I was never thrilled when I saw Axiom Verge stuff, because I was like, Metroidvania is one thing, and I love Metroidvania games, but I like it when a game takes some of the raw elements of that genre and then just does their own thing with it.
Right.
Like a game that I certainly love that did is Hollow Knight. Like Hollow Knight takes some of the rudimentary fundamentals from Metroidvania titles, but still makes a completely unique experience.
Right, and has like a completely different aesthetic, and it takes inspirations, but it doesn't try to emulate what it did. I guess I'll segue into Hollow Knight. Moving to the next game, Hollow Knight is one of my personal new favorite games of all time. And it's this amazing
Casual link to his article in the description.
Boom! I wrote a whole article about why I loved it. So you guys, I don't even have to speak. You guys can just read that.
Yeah.
But no. So basically, the TLDR is that it's this great Metroidvania by this very small team in Australia called Team Cherry, and he plays this little bug called the Knight, or I think his name's just the Knight. Yeah, his name's just the Knight.
Very cute looking.
He's very cute.
Everything is so cute.
Yeah, it's so cute, but everything's so deadly too.
Yeah,
so it's like
and dark.
Yeah, and it's like it's a very dark, very cutesy bug aesthetic. Like everybody's bugs.
And everybody's bugs.
Everybody's bugs.
Yeah,
the whole thing is just bugs.
Yeah, and you would think that would freak you out if you don't like bugs, but it's just so cute.
And they get so creative with it too. Yeah. So it's like he shows up at this town, everything's all desolate, and then there's this elder in the town. He's like, "Oh, there's some crazy things going on underground. You don't want to go there."
And the way that all the bugs, sorry to interrupt you, but like the way that every bug talks with like,
they're like, they're all like, like huffy and puffy and stuff.
Yeah.
They all make weird, cute little noises, and I wanted to be in on that session of like where they picked like the noises for everybody.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you hop into the well. to get to like wherever the underground is, and you find this expansive series of tunnels that used to be, there's like this long forgotten kingdom of bug people. So you have to like explore the catacombs of this kingdom and like kind of piecing together what happened and how you fit into all of this. And as you're going along, you get different abilities, a la Metroidvania, and you find different places you couldn't explore before. But the great thing for me was that for like my very first time playing it, for like the first 5 hours, I had no idea where I was going, and the game didn't punish me for that. The game just let me do what I want, and there were of course certain sections I couldn't reach, but for the most part I made like a full circle around the entire map, and it just let me do that. And that's one of the things I really, really liked about the game. Like, it really like rewarded you for exploring everything. Kind of like there's like kind of like a canonical way of doing things and like different upgrades you need to get, but I basically went through the entire map, and then I figured out, oh, there's a plot, like story missions I have to do. But yeah,
I definitely got my abilities out of the intended
100%,
because there were some things that I had towards my mid gaming part, or even towards my late game, where I was like, I should not have this, but I definitely should have had that.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't even know about charms, which were like basically like the magic spell thing that I was talking about, like in Rondo of Blood. Oh no, Aria, sorry. Yeah. And they're basically like really crucial to the game, and I just didn't have them for half of it. Yeah. And I fought like the first boss canonically like after like 10 hours, and I was like, oh, okay, that was really easy. I wonder why. And I was like, oh, it's the first boss. I was like, okay. Yeah. But yeah, it's great. It's got this great bug aesthetic. It's got this great atmosphere. It's like super dark, and you're super lonely, and it's like you're fighting these like corrupted bugs that used to live here, and you're trying to figure out why they all live here.
And they're very visually color coded to show you, like
like you can tell like they look like they lived here, but like you can tell like something's off with them.
Yeah, like there's like a madness.
And it's like what is it? And the music, I can't emphasize how good the music is. I've bought it, and I've bought all the DLC tracks, and I've like the composer's Christopher Larkin, and I've like told him how much I love his stuff, and I have the entire thing on my phone. But and it really like sets the mood for the whole game. Like, it has like this very dreary like somber, like funeral, like
very atmospheric.
Yeah, very atmospheric feel for it. But then sometimes like there's some like really intense boss battles that like mile a minute orchestral. It hits.
The final 2 fights, I would say, have some of the most incredible boss stage music.
They are like insane. They really get your blood pumping, and it's like, but they fit in line with all of the other more somber pieces. So this game is like $15. It's made by such a small dev team, and the best thing about it was that this is a Kickstarter, and
they gave so much DLC.
Yeah, there is so much free DLC that was like, hey, we kept our word, here's all the Kickstarter DLC. And the last thing they did was that they were going to make a paid DLC thing for one of the side characters in the game, and they made so much content that they were like, we're just going to make like a sequel.
And it's like, it's
probably going to be $10-15 too, so you should
I'd pay 40.
Same, I'd pay full price. Like, they have been so generous, and they're so small, and it's like
they really care about
video
games and their fans.
And you know what, they've gone back and they've fixed a lot of the problems with the game too. Like, if there's like bugs or like your game breaking stuff,
there's plenty of bugs, man.
Yeah, there's too many bugs. Like, fix it. That joke hasn't been made a bazillion times before. But yeah, so I just can't recommend it enough. And it does the great thing where like it takes the best elements of like, you know, like the exploration of Metroid and like the level progression of like the combat. The combat's great, and the combat
is fucking so tight.
Symphony of the Night, and it just makes its own thing, and it's great. So,
and I would say that part of like, because we were going to touch on Dark Souls a little bit,
right?
This game has also come out in a post Dark Souls world,
right? So it also has a lot of Dark Souls.
So it has the Dark Souls of death. Yeah. When you die, you leave behind all of your stuff, basically, right? Yeah. What are the schmeckles?
No, it's the what is it?
It's like Zennies.
No,
I always think it's
whatever money
yeah,
is.
there's things.
They're like little shells or something.
Yeah, you pick stuff up. I forget what they're called, but
but that's it.
But I think is also particularly cool about this one is that you don't just leave behind like a pile that you can go pick up.
Yeah.
You leave behind your soul.
Yeah, and you gotta go get them.
You have to go and you fight them. Like you can dispatch them immediately, but it will attack you.
Yeah,
and also until you collect your soul back, you cannot fill your mana all the way.
Yeah,
like you are missing part of you.
Yeah, so you gotta
really cool.
So there's like a little like, okay, I could like continue the game, but it's like
it's an extra incentive to go back and get your gold.
Right, but if you die while you're trying to get it, then that all gets erased. I mean, your mana comes back, but all your gold comes back.
Oh my god, the amount of money that I lost in Hollow Knight.
No, once you get to end game, all the money just doesn't matter because you just buy everything you need.
Yeah, but it takes a while to do that. Like,
yeah,
I think, there's a lot of stuff because there's so many charms that you can buy.
Yeah,
and you can upgrade your sword,
right,
which is a nail. By the way,
yeah,
you can upgrade that like a total of 4 times, and it's like thousands of thousands more every time.
Yeah, it's dumb money.
Yeah, but then by the end of it, you're just like, I'm a bug god.
And then you have all this money, and you're just like, I'm not bug. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, and then you can donate. You can literally give it all away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's.
I think that's a great time to like move into the Dark Souls part of the.
I want to talk about Ori and the Blind Forest first.
Yeah. Gotta get Ori in there.
Also, like I could wax about Hollow Knight too forever. But, so Ori and the Blind Forest, I think also is like just like Hollow Knight. It's the one. I'm not sure if it was a Kickstarter game. It might have just been like a regular indie game.
I have to double check.
I don't remember. But it is high key beautiful.
Yeah.
It like visually beautiful. The gameplay is some of the best gameplay that I've had the pleasure of experiencing in the last few years. The movement mechanics alone in this game do it way better than any of the rest of them ever did. Like we can talk about wall jumps about Metroid. We can talk about any number of things in the other rest of the games, the double jumps. But Ori has such a mastery of how like the joy of simply like getting around the map. Like imagine you know how fulfilling it feels to play Spider-Man. You know, like like do the zipping and the swinging and all that. And like didn't y'all come over to, or you came over to my house and you spent like 2 hours just swinging around it.
Right, it's like, just super satisfying.
It's super smooth.
Right, so like movement controls are a huge deal for games, especially platforming games. And Ori it's another like kind of cutesy thing you play as like this like little forest spirit. And then like your surrogate father or mother being like dies in the beginning of the game, or kind of. And then you spend the whole rest of the game you are alone in a kind of hostile world, so it's like Metroid.
So
like
sad
that.
in the beginning, yeah.
It's also
and you feel sad,
and you feel so because also the music is haunting.
Yeah.
And you are literally like the only light left in the world, right? So you are like you're like the last light spirit of this great tree that got fucked up by this giant owl,
right?
And the whole quest of it is like you have to come and kind of breathe this light back into this giant tree.
Oh wow,
it's profound.
Yeah, it's like that's the Blind Forest. Right? Yeah. And it's like there are some hugely cinematic set pieces in it too. Like some of the cinematics are just insane. There's a lot of tension when you're fighting the giant owl because you have a couple of fights with it before you're any kind of equipped to fight something like that, and so you're just running away, but you're using the movement controls to like get past some of that. And it's so well done.
Right.
But it also I don't think there's any items that you buy in this one, so it's like Metroid and that. It's also save point based, but something I liked about that is that you have to create your own save point.
Right.
Like you expend like your mana equivalent to create the save point, and you're usually going to do that when you anticipate like a big fight coming up, or when you've made X amount of progress and you want it to save, just hang on to it. But then you have to know that you're tangibly giving up potentially having an advantage in your next fight just by planting yourself there.
Right.
Yeah. And mana is a replenishable thing, but it's at certain points in the game it will feel like you have not enough opportunity to get mana back.
Right.
Then there's like it does like kind of like a Legend of Zelda-y like temple-ishness. Like there's certain segments of the game where like feel like this is a zone, like this is an area. And you will get like one of the power-ups there probably. Like there's like an air dash and like there's some other thing. There's a few really good ones. It's been a while since I played.
It's like a launcher one.
Yeah. But all of it is an absolute joy, and the soundtrack is marvelous.
Yeah.
It is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's a sequel coming out soon. So it's like it did well enough to warrant a new one.
Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Is that it?
Coming exclusively, I think, to Xbox One and Steam.
Huh, that is so strange.
Well, I played it on PC the first time.
Yeah, so you're fine. Yeah.
But we are getting towards I think we're already past the hour, but I want to quickly touch on Dark Souls before we kind of finish up.
Right. So kind of close things up.
And I think the main point I wanted to say is like, as the kind of the Metroidvania genre is evolving, especially with the kind of like more recent kind of, I guess, like renaissance of games that are coming out at least in the past decade or so.
Right.
And now that we live in a kind of a post Dark Souls gaming world, which is a strange phrase.
It's the Dark Souls of phrases.
Yo, for real though.
But Dark Souls really did have a profound impact on the way video games were made
100%.
from what it was, and
all games are going to be some version of Dark Souls.
Yeah. And what Dark Souls itself took in from the Metroidvania kind of genre was the large kind of the lonely aspect and the interconnected into these vast different kind of spaces,
right?
And then, as you said before, add this death mechanic where you kind of like have to come back to your soul or whatever,
right?
Which works excellently in Metroidvania, since backtracking is such
doing it anyway.
Yeah, such a huge aspect, and the game is already built to be backtracked in itself,
right?
So it just kind of like it extends in a pretty decent, like an exciting and like an enjoyable way. It adds a little bit of backtracking as a punishment for your failure state.
Right. But if you die on the way in that one too, you still lose all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of that, though, those souls and stuff that you lose is part of your progression. So it's like you learn how to get better at the game, and then you progress more, and it's a really satisfying cycle. So.
Yeah. And Dark Souls, like it's so wonderful how like just perfectly the Metroidvania genre stylings fit into the Dark Souls game. Right. I was a huge fan of Dark Souls. I played so much Dark Souls. I know the game basically backwards. Like
the Vania part of Bloodborne 2, or Bloodborne, like Soulsborne, is it's not you don't get abilities.
Power ups.
You don't get equipment.
Right. Yeah. It's weapons, and it's learning how to. It's that progression where like you defeat the bigger enemies and stuff.
Yeah.
Where Dark Souls is a lot more of you become more skilled.
There's also just so many more items. Like there's so many more things that you need to survive this world.
Yeah.
Like you need souls to like not only level up yourself, but level up your gear.
Right.
Then you get better gear as well. And there's also like just consumables and like the Estus, right? Estus, you can heal yourself all the time. Well, for up to a number of uses, right? And then you can also upgrade the Estus, so you heal more per heal. Yeah. So there's so much, like, it's funny that so much of it comes from Metroid, but like they put such a huge value of the currency. Like the currency is for everything that you need in that game.
Yeah, and I think I think that was such a smart move, just to kind of the reduction of kind of the, like all in-game currencies or like all in-game like values, get smushed down to the souls,
right,
which is just like where your soul, essentially the souls are the EXP, and you spend your EXP on different
accordingly,
things.
right.
And I think it's great because you can since everything you can spend your EXP or your souls on does help you in some sort of way, where it's like increase your ability or give you a new item or whatever. Right. It is all technically progress. Too. Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to feel like, do I want to put up my strength and my dex right now so I can use this weapon, or do I want to put this money into this weapon that I can already use and make that better?
Yeah.
Because ostensibly both will help you, but you just want to figure out what's going to help you more now.
Right. Yeah. And you can tailor it to your own play style and stuff. So there's that freedom of
and then there are certain parts in Dark Souls where if you come back with either better equipment or a specific type of item, things are definitely easier.
Right.
Dark Souls, it's built to be
Bloodborne
played
too,
whatever. You can play it whatever. Like any of the
well, I've only played Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. It's like that's where my experience would come in.
But like any of the
From I have a Switch, so I might play Dark Souls.
There you go.
Get Dark Souls, excellent.
But it's $60.
It's still excellent.
Is it?
It's 40. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Check now.
But either way, it excellently kind of wrapped itself in with the rest of them, and I feel like some aspects of the Dark Souls like concepts are going to continue to be wrapped into the rest of the Metroidvania type gameplay stylings.
But so, do you think that there will be some like a new name for this? Because or is it still just gonna be Metroidvania, and we just accept that Dark Souls has colored everything around it? So there's always gonna be some soulsiness and stuff.
I think it's more that like it's just kind of colored it. Like it's not enough. We're not really pulling enough from Dark Souls. Like Dark Souls didn't really do anything vastly different in itself to like warrant it to be like a whole new thing. It just combined a bunch of things very well
and did them
in a different way.
Right.
So it's just kind of taking some.
But
aspects of Dark Souls.
it also added stuff like stamina management, which was never
stamina management.
But that was never in Castlevania or in Metroid.
Yeah. So that was in other games.
Yeah.
Not to the level it is in Dark Souls.
In Dark Souls, it's far more important, but there's other games where stamina management is a thing.
Yeah,
like
sure.
Celeste and like.
Celeste
Breath
is also
a
a post Dark Souls.
Yeah,
and so is Breath of the Wild.
Right.
Like there was Shadow of the Colossus had a stamina bar.
Yeah.
Like it has been done.
I would say Skyrim has a stamina system.
Right.
Like,
But like Skyrim, like
But like it's very simple. Like they weren't
that
thinking
controls
twice about
your
it.
sprinting. Like in Dark Souls, it's like you will win or lose this fight depending on when you run out of stamina.
Yeah. Well, what was it? Monster. That's a big part of Monster Hunter too.
Yeah.
Just like all your swings
Yeah.
while you're running away from monsters and stuff.
Right.
It wasn't really unique, but it was like they
They
made
made it a focal
heavy.
point. of the game.
Yeah.
So
to the point where like you want to be able to upgrade your stamina bar.
Right.
And I think that like is specifically like on a Metroidvania type game, like one of the only like gameplay downsides might be that you can kind of just spam your attacks.
But so do you think adding ammo to Metroid made it better or worse? Because there is ammo in Prime. Not on the basic.
That's just for the missiles and stuff.
Yeah.
And those are used a lot for like puzzles and like, stuff like that.
But I mean more of like you can't just do your basic attack like endlessly, stand still, just like just beat enemies. Like maybe you can only shoot a couple of them, like maybe your arm overheats or something like that. Just kind of like whatever kind of stamina management type thing.
Right.
That just you have to take a quick pause and like not attack for a second and then you can go back to attack.
Or
like even if it's just like
your equipment can break or something like that.
Even if it's like momentary, like half a second, like a second,
like
just a little cooldown.
Right.
So like this game Momodora kind of has that a little bit. It's not really stamina, but you can only do like 3 attacks in a row. It's the same animation. It's like every time. So you have to figure out when you're going to do your full combo, when you're just going to go for one hit, and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think that is a very important thing that could get rolled into the future Metroidvania games, and will probably do excellently.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so Momodora, just to touch on briefly, is a Metroidvania game, really pared down. Like, there's not a whole lot of a Metroid. Like, there's not a whole lot of ability getting. You get like one movement ability, and you can upgrade your only weapon. And there's sub weapons like in Castlevania, but some of them, like one is like an Estus flask. One of them is like turns you into a cat, which would be your ball form.
Nice. Okay.
But the whole map is pure Metroid. It's just pixel boxes. Like nothing's named. You have no real sense of which is what.
Right.
It's save points. You can warp between certain save points, but not all of them. So it's like it's well done. It's a well put together game. It's also like I think $15-$20.
Yeah, it's on the cheaper side.
Yeah. And it's good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It also has different tiered endings.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll say I think that's probably about it.
Yeah.
It's probably about 45 minutes too long.
Yeah.
That's about it. Yeah.
I think we're like 15, 20. Not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that's about it. I hope everybody enjoyed our conversation about the Metroidvania genre.
I had a good time.
Yeah, we're huge fans, as you can tell.
Yeah.
And as you can tell from the memorabilia we got sitting on my table.
I need to get some Castlevania shit.
Yeah.
You should.
There probably is like a Richter now amiibo from
Richter
Get one
and
of those
Simon.
whips.
Yeah.
Get like a real
a
made.
whip.
like the cross whip.
Yeah. The Morningstar.
Yeah.
Just like having
Start
it.
swinging it around. But yeah, so hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something.
Yeah.
If you like Metroidvania games,
Check out the games we recommend.
Check out
comment,
all of
and
them.
this is for the YouTube people. Comment that below.
Like, comment, subscribe
Yeah.
for more games.
Yeah. Thank you, Spencer, for coming. Our silent partner.
Yeah.
That's
He's not even our silent, like the full partner, but he just hasn't been able to come out for these.
I'm very far
podcasts.
away.
yeah. Unfortunately,
He lives in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Staten Island.
Unfortunately.
It's the worst place on the planet,
yeah.
but we still love him.
Yeah. Well, it makes one of us.
Leo loves it too.
Yeah. That's 2.
Yeah.
2 out of 3 is good.
There we
Alexa
go,
loves
solid.
you too.
Oh, that's solid.
There you go.
That's solid.
You don't need to love yourself. You
Yeah.
got other people.
75
Nah.
is a passing grade.
That's a C. That's a C. I'm alright with a C. I'm fine with that.
All right.
But
Yeah, but that's it for us.
Yeah. So as usual, I've been Vin.
I've been Leo.
I've been Spencer.
And thanks for joining us.
All right.
All right.
Goodbye,
Good night.
everybody.